Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining me, Leonard Barry, here on the first episode of the Hawks Nest podcast. We're planning to release a podcast on every Tuesday off day this season over the course of the 96-game Pioneer League schedule, and who better to join me for episode 1 than the man in charge, Gary Van Tall, Hawks manager. We're expecting to have plenty of guests over the course of the season here on the Hawks Nest podcast, including the athletic trainer for the Hawks, some front office staff, our general manager, players from the team, and a host of other guests, so you can really understand and get a behind-the-scenes look at everything that goes on here at Memorial Stadium over the course of a season. So without any further ado, let's jump right into episode 1. Gary Van Tall joined me to break down opening day for 2021 and preview this Hawks roster. Welcome along, everyone. This week's episode going to be joined by Boise Hawks manager Gary Van Tall. Gary, so good to have you along with me. Excited to have you as we get ready for the home opener this upcoming week. That's got to be very exciting for you.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's hard to believe that it's finally here. It's been a long wait for everybody, and I know a lot of people are excited for this new adventure in the Pioneer League as a independent, and can't wait to get started.
Yeah, we certainly can't wait for Wednesday's home opener, but I want to turn the clocks even a little bit further back to begin. People might not know this, but your senior season at Gonzaga, you were outstanding. You were all Pac-10 North back in the time when Gonzaga was in the Pac-10. But then the next season, 1991, you become a graduate assistant at the University of Gonzaga. With the season that you had, maybe, aspirations of playing a little bit higher, what turned you into coaching right away out of college?
Well, I've got to give all my thanks to Steve Hertz, who was the head coach at Gonzaga at the time. And, being a Canadian citizen, I was in the U.S. on a student visa. And so at the end of my college career at Gonzaga, my student visa was up. So I only had one option, and that was to go back home to Canada. And there's not a lot of baseball opportunities, or at least there wasn't as many back in Canada at that time. So, Steve and I sat down and talked, and I know the exact location. It was on the curb overlooking Bukarovich Field, which is now McCarthy Athletic Center, the new basketball arena at Gonzaga. And we were trying to figure out what I was going to do with my next step. And, of course, I was hoping to play professionally. There were some calls from some major league clubs to sign as a free agent. But during that time, I was also a member of Team Canada. And, that was when if you played for your country, you couldn't be professional. So you had to make a decision to keep your amateur status to represent your country in the Olympics, or go pro and sign professionally and forego your amateur status. And the fact that I had a roster spot with Team Canada and the opportunity to play for my country was a great honor. And I decided that I wanted to focus on playing internationally and for my country and pursue that goal of playing in the Olympics, which that would have been the Barcelona Olympics. And during that conversation and just trying to figure out, what to do, Coach Hertz said, hey, why don't you come back to school and be a grad assistant? You can help out with my staff, and we can get you started. And, you're an alum, you know your way around. And the good thing is we can get you on that student visa still, and you can stay in the country. And that was a pretty quick thought process. And I jumped right into it and finished my degree and started grad school at Gonzaga and started my coaching career and also played in the summers with Team Canada and was still able to compete at a high level against some of the best players in the country at that time and travel the world. And that opened up opportunities for me to sign overseas. And, Coach Hertz was just instrumental in making that happen, because there were times when I left the team early at Gonzaga to go over to start the season in Europe, and he supported me 100%. It was difficult to leave the team as one of the coaches, but, he just went above and beyond the call of duty to support my dreams, my aspirations, and to keep me in the country. And so I owe him a great deal.
It's certainly a unique experience being able to transition right out of school into a graduate position, but then also be able to play professionally back in your home country. And then when you went over to the Netherlands, of course, to play, your coaching career has spanned many years now. You've been all over the place, but remained in the Treasure Valley, obviously with TVCC, and then with Boise State, your first stint with the Hawks. But this new stint with the Hawks, first time independent ball for yourself. You've always been associated with college as a head coach or as a manager and assistant coach in A-ball, basically. So what's the differences here bringing the Hawks into a new era, ushering in independent baseball in the Pioneer Baseball League, and trying to deal with the challenges that may come with that?
Well, I think if you look at the best qualities of being a professional and working for a major league organization, obviously I had the honor to represent the Chicago Cubs as a minor league coach and manager, and was in the organization for 10 years and learned a great deal from some incredible baseball people. And then also coaching at the college level, at the Division I level, as a head coach, as an assistant at some great programs like Gonzaga, and had a stint at University of Portland, and then, of course, starting the program back up at Boise State was a tremendous honor. But when you look at being at the professional game and mentoring professional athletes, we have that now, right, here with the Boise Hawks. And we're not affiliated with a major league organization, so we control the roster, we control the coaching staff, which is very similar to me being at the Division I level. So, at Boise State, I brought in my own staff. I recruited the players that were going to come in and play for us at Boise State, which I had to do the same thing here with the Boise Hawks. And so having that responsibility to oversee the roster, to make those decisions on your own, where in pro ball you rely on your scouting department to do all that. My responsibility was to take the guys that our scouting department, scouted and signed, drafted, and sent to the minor leagues to start their development piece. Then that's where I kind of took the baton from our scouting department. But it's really the best of both worlds in the professional game, and then also at the Division I level. And a lot of these guys played Division I baseball. A lot of these guys signed as free agents, 16, 17, some of our Latin players, and played professionally and have been released. So it's a really unique experience. And I think the one big difference, too, being at the professional game that's different than affiliated baseball, is I'm going out to manage each game to try and win that game, and very similar to being at the college level. And so that kind of changes the whole landscape and vibe and how we're doing things. And so we still want to develop guys and help them open up opportunities to continue to prolong their career at a higher independent level, or, re-sign with a major league club, or for the first time get a shot to sign with a major league club. But we're also, trying to sign guys that have that, I think, commitment to win each night as well, and play the game to win each night, which sometimes, you don't get that in the minor leagues. I mean, you're there to develop, and if you win the ball game, great. You got to get your prospects their at-bats, their innings on the mound. And, I was blessed in the Chicago Cubs organization where they wanted to develop a winning culture as well, but we weren't going to put a player in a position to injure himself to win a ball game. It was about making sure that these guys got acclimated to professional baseball, got acclimated to our organization, our culture, and that we were moving them up to the next step to get them prepared to play in the big leagues, where you have to win every night. So it's almost like the Boise Hawks now have their own big league club that they control their whole brand, and they're not relying on a major league organization to provide them with the players. I mean, this is Boise's team now. It's not the Chicago Cubs. It's not the California Angels. It's not the Colorado Rockies. Now, this is the Boise Hawks. We control our own brand. We make the decisions with our roster, who we sign, who we trade, who we release, and the coaches that we bring on. I mean, it's a really, I think, awesome experience that just in the short time I've been in charge, it's really exciting to kind of combine all the experiences that I've been blessed to have over the 30-plus years I've been coaching, when I really had no intentions to coach, just staying in the country. right? And then
just to get a visa.
Exactly. So it's yeah, God is great, and He's created some unbelievable opportunities for me, and what this game has provided for myself and my family. I owe everything to this game, and every day I wake up, I want to give everything I can back to this game for what it's provided for me. So I'm pretty blessed.
And that point you bring up about handpicking the roster, much like at Boise State, you kind of did the same. But when you look at this roster specifically, it's 25, a group of 25 that you could have picked anywhere with minimal restrictions, no 3 years of major league experience. So why, these 25? Talk me through the construction, and obviously each one of those guys out there has a hunger, a drive, and a fight, desire to be better every single day. So what is it that drew you to this particular group?
Man, I tell you what, it's been an honor getting to meet some of these players who we made decisions on to bring in here to start this journey in this new era in baseball in Boise. And so, the biggest thing for me was trying to get the profile that the Pioneer League wanted to execute in regards to the players they wanted to bring into this league. And with it being sponsored by MLB still, from what I understand, the decision was made to have this be one of the younger independent leagues in the country where players are still young enough that they can get another shot to get signed by a major league club, or for those kids that were overlooked back in college that have been out on their own for a couple years now. They've got their degree, and they know how to train better. They're bigger, stronger. They might have healed from an injury that they had. I mean, the stories are just endless, and it's just been really, really neat to hear their stories because, we call them one-chance guys or two-chance guys. The one-chance guys never got a shot out of college or high school to sign professionally, and they're still grinding, trying to get that opportunity. And then you have the guys that did get that shot and were drafted or signed as a free agent, played for a major league organization, and then they've been released. So they're looking for a second chance. And, once I found out the profile and what the roster cap was going to be, what the salary cap was going to be, the big one was, kind of that age cap. We don't have an age cap, which is great. I thought the decision that the league made to, go out and we can sign players who don't have more than 3 years of professional experience, that put a cap on it, but it didn't put an age cap on it. So once I found that out, I just got on the phone and a lot of phone calls, calling people that I know and trust in the game at all levels. And, there were a lot of players out there who they were in a good place. They had been kind of kicked to the curb already. They had gone through that initial shock of maybe their dream coming to an end and looking for another shot. And so they were all hungry. They've been released in the last year. I know some clubs had the strategy of kind of waiting to the end of this spring training when they knew there were going to be a lot of players released. But, I just started getting on the phone and tried to see who was available. And when you look at 40-plus minor league teams being eliminated and 20 rounds in the professional draft being eliminated, there are a lot of good players out there looking for work. And so as I just started uncovering rocks, I started to come across guys who, through my process, which is a pretty quick process. Sometimes it's 48 hours and you got to make a decision on a guy when, you've identified somebody's been, thrown at you. You're doing some cross-checking. You're looking at video. You're talking to the player on the phone, and you're trying to do as much homework as you can. It happens really fast, where the college recruiting process sometimes goes maybe 6 months to a year, depending on when you start talking to a young player in high school. And so things happen fast, so you've got to be ready at all times. And I just ended up, coming across some guys that just were in a good place mentally, and they had the skill set, and, they convinced me that they wanted to come in here and help Boise win a Pioneer League championship. And, I asked them if they still had that dream of playing in the big leagues, and every one of them said absolutely. And so those were the two main criterias. They still needed to have a dream to play in the big leagues, and they wanted to come in here and help the Boise Hawks win a Pioneer League championships. Those were the two boxes that I needed to check first, and then I really dug deep on their character, makeup, their skill set, and analyzed video and just talked to people who knew them better than I did. And then, of course, you look at a 25-man roster, 12 position players, 13 pitchers, okay? All right, well, I need a couple catchers. I need a first baseman. I need 3 middle guys. I need a third baseman. I need 4 outfielders. So then once I kind of determined what positions I needed to fill, you needed guys that could be starting pitchers who had a 3-pitch repertoire. You wanted to bring in some guys who had a big-time bullet out of the bullpen, left-handed, right-handed, speed, power. I mean, guys that could defend. And my goal was to put the best, most well-rounded, balanced roster I could. And looking on paper right now, I couldn't be more excited with the guys that we're bringing in here. We've got 6 right-handed bats. We've got 6 left-handed bats. We've got power from both sides of the plate. We've got speed from both sides of the plate. We got guys that can pick it. We've got guys that can run the bases. So I feel pretty confident with just a 12-man, position roster. We're covering every box there. And then the pitchers, we've got guys that are velo guys, we have some finesse guys, we have some slider guys, we have some sinker guys, we have some over-the-top guys, 3-quarter slot guys. I wanted to bring in as much diversity as I could with that pitching staff, because if you're not careful at the end of the day, Leonard, you're going to have 12 right-handed swinging hitters, and you're going to have 13 right-handed pitchers. So obviously we're more right-handed heavy on the pitching staff, but we have a few left-handers in the mix that are going to play some very valuable roles. But, I'm really, really excited to see what these guys can do, and they're starting to come into town, and we're almost a full staff. We'll be a full staff roster tomorrow, and we'll get our work in, and, the season will be here before we know it.
We're very excited about that, obviously, and you mentioned all of the stories. Just my opportunity that I've had to talk to a lot of the guys, I'm finding out things left and right that are just incredible, that they're really getting another shot here in Boise. But 2 guys I want to touch on specifically are the local guys. You got 2 in Matt Dallas and Zach Penrod, who are basically right here from the area. I'd like to start with Matt Dallas because when I talked to him a couple of days ago, everything that I hear from him, from his teammates, from what he told me, this is a guy with major league stuff. Like, he should legitimately be on his way up the ladder, and yet he's had to toil in indie ball for a couple of seasons, and you swung a trade just to get him back here. He said, partially that was because he knew you a little bit, knew the area, and was able to help work some things out there. But this is a guy who's sitting 95 to 97 with electric wipeout stuff, and here he is. He's going to pitch in the Pioneer League. That's incredible for you and your staff.
Yeah, and back home for the first time in his career, and here's a guy that couldn't even make it, the varsity team at Capitol High School, and he's got big league stuff. It's just an unbelievable story, and just talking to these guys, and just the humility, the perseverance. These guys are just passionate and just sincere and appreciative. And Matt Dallas is at the top of the list. He's one of the older guys on the roster, and I think, when you're looking at it from a major league perspective, yeah, he's going to get penalized for his age because some people are going to say he's too old. But yeah, you look at his age, but he hasn't pitched that long because he was a position player. One of the reasons why he didn't make Capitol's high school team his last year in high school was because he was a position player. So he just started to figure out pitching. He was blessed with a strong arm, and he realized that, and man, it just takes a lot of time, and you have to have a lot of patience. And I know a lot of players nowadays, they don't trust the process, and this guy has just done everything in his power to prolong his career, to continue to get better, plus makeup, plus work ethic. I'm going to look for him to be one of our leaders, but he's just a puppy in terms of pitching-wise because he hasn't been pitching all his life. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of numbers he can put up here. But the opportunity for me to get him in a trade and, talking to the New Jersey Jackals and their manager, who obviously didn't want to lose him. But, yeah, the chance for him to come back and play in front of his family for the first time, that's a once-in-a-life opportunity. So it just timing's everything, and God's plan. I mean, it worked out, and I was glad he was eligible, because that was the first thing I had to find out. Was he eligible to play in the Pioneer League? Once I found that out, because I looked at his age and I'm going, okay, there's no chance. But as I did more homework and I learned what the profile was going to be from the front or the league office in the Pioneer League, I was able to get the okay from the league office that he was eligible. And then we made the trade to get him here, and he was here within 3 days. And I'm so thrilled for him and excited. And I hope, big league clubs come out here and give him an honest assessment and take a look at him and don't look at his age, because I know he can go out there and can compete at a very high level right now in affiliated baseball. And so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, he's at the moment the oldest player on the roster, and his family, he told me, still hasn't seen him pitch professionally. They saw him 3 times when he was at Minnesota Crookston, and then they haven't seen him again. And another guy who's in a similar boat is Zach Penrod, who went to Corbin out of high school. Then he came back and played at Northwest Nazarene as a two-way player, signed out of Walla Walla when he was playing for the Sweets in the West Coast League with the Rangers in late 2018. He has a great season there. Then he goes to extended spring training in 2019, blows out his UCL, has shoulder recovery surgery in the middle of that as well while he's recovering from TJ. COVID happens, and a guy who runs it up to 95 from the left side is a COVID casualty in the Rangers organization, and you manage, again, to bring him back and give him an opportunity to prove that he never should have been dropped.
Yeah, and there's a second chance guy right there, because of the injury and COVID. He took the fall, and so the organization made the decision to let him go, and he's been trying to land a job ever since. And, of course, I have more of a history with Zach and his family, being in the area through his high school career and his younger brother. And he came out last fall and was working out with Austin Bibbins-Dirks, who is a former player of mine at the college level and professional level. And Austin was going to be my bullpen coach until the Dodgers called him last week and signed him. And he just got his first win at AAA the other day. And so Austin took Zach under his wing and helped him train and rehab and get himself healthy. And, I remember when he came out in the fall, and, of course, I was still working with our Boise State guys at the time. I didn't even see this opportunity coming down the road. So I was just helping him get his work in, and building up his arm strength, and he looked good, and everything was clicking, and he was making progress. And I was just appreciative for the opportunity to help him, with his workload and give him an opportunity to come out here and throw. And then, when this opportunity came up with the Boise Hawks and I landed the job, and he came out and he was working out, and I talked to him and I said, hey, have you gotten any calls yet? And he said, no. And I said, well, let's bear down here in the next couple of weeks and take a good look at you and see if there's an opportunity, because if you're interested, I'd love to see if this can happen. And so he threw a couple bullpens for me, and I was able to see that live in person with him being here and with Austin by his side. And, of course, Austin and I go way back. It was an easy decision, I think, for both of us when, he checked out in terms of all the boxes with his arm strength and where his velocity was, and he still wasn't 100%. And he's been with us ever since on a daily basis, getting his work in. And so, the injury piece obviously is in the back of everybody's mind, but he feels strong. He feels healthy. I know with our philosophy and how we take care of our pitchers, with my pitching coach, Mikkel Von Kampen, and his experience. He's also a certified strength coach, and he's on staff as our strength coach as well. And then having Shane here, bringing him in as our trainer. Of course, he was my trainer at Boise State, who I brought over from the Cubs organization, and to partner up with St. Luke's. I mean, we have the manpower right now medically to take care of our guys like a big league club. and it's going to be awesome. And I think with all the hands that we have on deck, we're going to be able to help guys like Zach who have had some injuries in the past, who are red flagged or whatever, that we're going to be able to still work with them and help them reach their full potential and show major league organizations that they are healthy, that they are putting up numbers, they have the velocity, the spin rate, and all that stuff. But more importantly for me, they can compete and throw strikes and get hitters out, because that's what it's all about. And just another great story that a guy just grinding, looking for another shot, and the bonus is he gets to do it at home, because if the Boise Hawks weren't independent, the Zach Penrods and Matt Dallases would not be playing here in town. So I look at sometimes things happen for a reason, and they're here for a reason. I'm here for a reason, and I'm excited to give them an opportunity, and I know they're fired up to be here.
It's really fantastic for both of them and really for everyone on the team. And you just mentioned right there, you got the medical staff. That's one of the things, too, is that you have quite a lot of guys straight out of college with no rookie ball or even A ball experience, or even if they do have rookie ball, maybe they got picked up late and only finished half a season. There are very few players on this roster that have ever gone through a season that's more than a normal college 52, 56 game season. They maybe play in the summer, some extended games. What's your job as the manager, and also along with your training staff and your other coaches, to keep these guys fit, deal with injuries, fatigue as it comes up, and show them what it's like to play a big league schedule like this?
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's the biggest challenge, because working with the Chicago Cubs, I had a farm system to draw from. If I ran into any issues and we needed some extra players, I could make a phone call and have them here tomorrow. And, college rosters are inflated right now, and, you've got probably averaging 35 players on a college roster and only playing 56 games if you're lucky in a cold weather climate. So, yeah, to play 96 games with a 25-man roster, that's the biggest challenge for me. And how I manage our pitchers is going to be critical. The communication with Shane, and having a guy like Shane in the trench with me who I know and trust and have a long history with. We come from the same organization with the Chicago Cubs, who did a great job keeping guys healthy through the system when I was there. And then, having St. Luke's, as a partner, who are all in. I mean, it's been a big investment on their part, but it's such a unique opportunity, I think, for them overall. And, we're just thrilled with the resources that we have. And it all starts with an ownership group that's committed, okay? We have an outstanding ownership group that is committed, and, they could have just cut their losses and left town when they lost their affiliation. And no, they're committed to the community of Boise, and they're going to stay and grind this out. And I know the number one priority for all of us in this community is to get a new baseball stadium built, because this is going to be a AAA market very soon. And I guarantee you, with Major League Baseball controlling the narrative now, if Boise gets a new stadium, there's going to be a AAA franchise in this market. So, that's exciting too. But you look at me being full-time, my coaching staff here basically year-round with me. I don't know of any other independent organization that has an entire coaching staff, training staff, front office, all in town 12 months out of the year. So if there are guys that, and I know they're all going to love Boise for the guys that just got into town, if they want to stay here during the off season, find a job, train with us, we're here, we're available. That will, I think, attract the top players at this level, and why they will want to come play for the Boise Hawks when they see, we have one of the older facilities in the league. But when you get past that and you get in the doors to find out who the people are that are running this organization on and off the field, I mean, these guys are going to be treated like big leaguers, and they're going to have the support and the resources very similar. They're just not making the money big leaguers make. So it's exciting. And for me, this being my first independent journey, it's here, and it's been a long wait for everybody on the planet. And, I know I just saw it released in the news that there are no restrictions now. I think we're going to be able to bring in full capacity to watch these guys play. We're still going to take this pandemic very seriously. We've got our protocols that we're going to follow on a daily basis. I mean, most of our staff and players are vaccinated. I mean, they're all in, and they all want to do their part to make this season go off. And so all these guys that I brought in, I'm not going to worry about what they're doing after the game. They're all going to be getting their rest. They're very serious. They're very committed, and they're going to do everything they can to help us win a championship. And we're going to do everything we can to help them prolong their career. So it's a win-win for everybody, but more importantly, the community, the fans, this front office, the ownership group. We can't wait for the season to get here.
We can't wait for opening day tomorrow. It's coming up right around the corner. Gary, thank you so much for your time.
Ready or not, here we come. Thank you.